Well, welcome everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today on our webinar. I'm Dominic Harland, CTO and CEO of GB Labs, and I'm really excited to share with you the new Unify Hub Generation 2. And we've been working really hard on evolving our Unify Hub Gen 2, and we're really looking forward to sharing that with you throughout this webinar. We've also got some great shows. We look forward to hopefully seeing a lot of you at NAB this year in only a few weeks' time, which should be great. So with the launch of Unify Hub Generation 2, it brings to a close the Generation 1, which is end of life effectively immediately. But don't worry, customers can upgrade to Generation 2 either straight away or whenever their renewals are due. The hardware appliance is also end of life. It will be no longer available, mainly due to the fact that some of the new features of Gen 2 just simply aren't available to work with third-party storage, therefore limiting the usefulness of that appliance. As a software, it's available on all of our storage appliances and will come with the Core 5 OS, which in effect is our connected OS and brings a far greater integration between cloud storage and cloud accounts. Core 5 is not due to replace Core 4 at this moment in time and will run alongside it. Core 5 will come free of charge with any annual subscription to Unify Hub Gen 2. So let's have a look at some of the features now included in Core 5. The first one is the ability to use single sign-on and also to be able to take your cloud endpoints and share them out using SMB. So very simply, you can mount your cloud storage endpoints within the Core OS using your admin privileges, and then you can create a workspace from those which allows you to share them out over SMB on your local network. Your local on-prem users will simply log in with their username and password as determined by the Core 5 OS that you've set up, and then they can just log in and work with that storage as if it's local storage. The advantage of this is it gives you the ability to use auditing within our software. So you can simply manage your users for all of your cloud endpoints, as well as being given the information on which users have accessed which files and when. So Core 5 also introduces the ability to accelerate your cloud endpoints using block level acceleration. This is a big step forward. We don't have to download entire files. We can simply use parts of files in a very similar way to how Hyperspace or Nitro operates. This is really important for media workflows because it's very rare in media that we need the whole file. And obviously moving large media files across the internet is time consuming and potentially expensive. With the block level acceleration, we only need to move the key blocks of data that we're using on our timeline or video workflow. So the advantage of this are far faster workflow. You can start editing far quicker. Obviously, the cache is saving you from egressing data over and over again, and you also naturally preserves your internet bandwidth. Not only are you only having to download the information you need, if there are other users also using that information, you only need to download it once. This will save you a lot of time and money. So another key advantage that's now built into Core 5 is the ability to take that storage from within your GB Labs appliance and share it out using the S3 protocol. This allows you to connect either on-prem to other devices that require communication using S3, or indeed share it out for other cloud services and storage to access. The ability to export via S3 also allows you to effectively create your own private cloud. The final feature within Core 5 is the ability to see everything in effectively one pane of glass. So by having your cloud accounts mounted and accessed through Core 5, this gives you a really easy way to see what's going on, allow management of the cloud accounts, as well as giving secure access to your on-prem users. So introducing Unify Hub Gen 2. This is a global unified file system. It's a big departure, as I said earlier, from Unify Hub 1, and it simply allows people to really access a central storage, so a singular file system that everyone can access anywhere. So let's have a look at what that means and how it works. So first of all, Unify Hub is a GB Labs unique technology. It's something we've worked incredibly hard on for quite a long time now. We'd like to say thank you very much for our partners and our customers that have worked with us to get this to market and develop it, and to get it to the point where it really does work completely seamlessly and just allows people to work from anywhere. The facilities that it gives users is the feeling that they're working on a local storage no matter their location. So at all times they have a fast, flexible, and I guess importantly secure way of accessing their media storage. So Unify Hub really breaks down into 4 key areas that makes it uniquely different from the previous version. The first one is OnePath. So OnePath is critically important for the success of a global file system. And what this means is wherever you are, whatever location you're on, your relevant file path is identical. So for example, if you're in the office on SMB and you then go home and you connect via Unify Connect, the relative path is absolutely identical. And we'll have a look at that in a second. The second thing is the HyperAcceleration. So this is true block level acceleration, meaning that the minimum amount of data needs to be moved when you move. The third part is the centralized access management. This gives you real control for single sign-on, gives you excellent user management. It gives, more importantly, or mainly, it gives you the security that you're used to for on-prem, but for all of your remote and potentially your cloud users as well. The last part is that it integrates very well with our Nebula Cloud storage. When paired with Nebula, this gives you a truly elastic storage and gives you a great global performance like no other cloud storage. So let's have a look at OnePath. This is really important. So as I mentioned, it gives you the same path no matter where you are. So for example, if we look here, whether you're a local SMB user on-prem, whether you decide to move to a satellite office and you're also an SMB user, or whether you're a truly remote user using the Unify Hub Connect client application, you will see exactly the same file system and exactly the same file pathing. This means that it makes asset management, orchestration, and any automation products meaningful in every location. It also means that if I've created a project file in any location, when somebody in another location opens it, I don't need to relink any files. And the same is true with any media application. So a really, really big step forward in working from anywhere. So the next part of Unify Hub is HyperAcceleration. This is the block level caching that makes it so quick to use, so quick to get going with media files. So if we have a look at a timeline, for example, you may well have 5 or 10 minutes on a timeline, but it's quite often that you'll have several hours of footage behind that. Now, with traditional systems, if you want to work remotely, you typically have to copy or move all of those files from one location to another. With the HyperAcceleration, you only need to use the parts of files, those relevant blocks, if you like, from one location to another. Now, you can, of course, populate that cache either on-prem before you move, or you can completely independently work remotely. The choice is yours. The HyperAcceleration is a similar technology to our Hyperspace and gives you really good usability for media workflows. The HyperAcceleration can be broken down into 2 categories. The first is communal acceleration. So this is where we use one of our products to act as a large block level cache device. So this would be typically connected to either a Nebula Cloud or a primary location. So all your users connected to that would connect to this unit via SMB, and then it in turn connects to the master file system, if you like. So only the blocks that the users on-prem are accessing come down, and they're then held within that GB Labs product. This means that on typical video projects where users are sharing similar or the same data, every user does not need to download again and again the same information, and this can save not only a large amount of time and also cost, but it also means that you're just not taxing the internet connection again and again and again, repeatedly having to download the same amount of data. The second type of HyperAcceleration is what we call private acceleration. So this is when you're using the Unify Hub Connect client application. It can leverage part of your internal SSD or NVMe, or indeed an external drive. You choose the location of where those blocks or block level acceleration is held. So this means that somebody can go out literally with just a laptop, and they have the key blocks information for their video project, and any additional work that they need is just downloaded and held within their internal hard drive or SSD. So this allows the playback of even challenging codecs to be possible once you've got the blocks of data cached, and you don't need to download any further information continually across your internet connection. So with the centralized access management, this gives you a really good view on what's going on. Not only have you got Active Directory and LDAP support, but you can allocate users to all of the different parts of the storage. It also allows complete integration with our auditing, which is extremely useful. So this allows you to see what users, whether they're on-prem or remote, what files they're using, and when they've last accessed them as well. So it gives you a great insight into what all of the users all over the world are doing within the system. Another extremely useful feature is that you can actually manage the individual cache centrally from the core OS. So for example, if you have a user that's a freelancer and they've now finished working for you, you can actually at a click of a button remote wipe the cache on their system and terminate their access. So you can be extremely certain that they can no longer access and have no previous access to the files. So Nebula is a fantastic addition to Unify Hub. We've partnered with Storage to provide a fantastic cloud storage that really is different to others on the market. This is a truly distributed shared storage, which quite simply means that it's as fast in Singapore as it is in London and LA, all at the same time, without having to make copies of your data. But more of that on another webinar. We will have a look at how Nebula integrates with Unify Hub on some diagrams in just a moment. So I guess the question is who is Unify Hub for? Well, really, anybody who's working with media files, video editors, small or large companies, it doesn't really matter. The challenge of working with media from any location is pretty similar, however you're trying to do it. And this product is extremely suitable for all of those use cases. So Unify Hub Connect client. This is our client application that will work on Windows, Mac or Linux. This, if you like, is the key to your true remote working. So if you're away from the office, you do need the Unify Connect client app, and it provides a support for the one path. It'll connect to either Nebula directly, or you can use VPN to log back into wherever the primary system is. And it leverages that block level acceleration. So you can either choose to go to one of the on-prem locations and you can pre-cache, or you can literally just work from anywhere and leverage that block level acceleration. It talks back completely to wherever the primary system is. So all of the user management and the sort of security authentication is done centrally from that primary system. And it supports the Core OS auditing and compliance as well. So when you're logging in and you're doing things, that's been recorded on the primary system for the sysadmin to take a look at. It also supports some other additional functionality for manually caching entire files, and gives you some information on what is or isn't cached on your systems. Okay, so let's now have a look at Unify Hub in action. We've got a video here from Matt, who's kindly put together a demonstration of how to use it all. So let's take a look at that now.
Hello and welcome to GB Labs. Unify Hub 2.0 adds significant new technology to make it the ideal solution for hybrid, remote, and multi-office workflows. Our goal was to create a global file system with a single point of truth for each file, so teams of any size in any location will always be able to work with the latest iteration of any file. With packages tailored for the smallest of shops to the largest multinational media corporations, Unify Hub is the right solution for every company. Let's take a look at the new technology now available in Unify Hub 2.0. The first new feature we are revealing is called OnePath. OnePath gives you the ability to mount your workspaces both locally and remotely with the same file path, no matter the speed of your connection or connection protocol. For today's demonstration, I'm going to show how users can connect directly over Ethernet and using Unify Connect over Wi-Fi to mount the same workspaces and launch the same project with no need to relink. Here you can see we are connected to the house switch, then to a GB Lab space server that is also directly attached to the same switch. You can see this in the networking pane of System Preferences in the upper left. So now I will mount the workspace as I normally would on a local connection over SMB. Next, I'll launch DaVinci Resolve and go into this demo project I've loaded up with ProRes 444 footage. As you can see, there are 3 tracks of this huge file, and when I go to play it, it plays fine. Though you should know there are some speed ramps in the footage. Now that we see that's working over a hardwired connection, let's quit DaVinci and change our network settings. The goal here is to simulate a remote user connecting over the internet. So I'll unplug my Ethernet cable, and you can see that the light is now red in System Prefs. Next, I'll enable my Wi-Fi to simulate an internet connection. And as you can see, that's now the only connection. Now I'll use Unify Connect to mount the workspace with my demo footage. Now I'll launch DaVinci again and go to that same project. And as you can see, it opens right up. However, the thumbnails are taking a bit longer to populate, and as I start to play the sequence, it's very slow to respond. This brings us to our next new feature, block level acceleration. Starting in Unify Hub 2.0, users who are connected to their workspaces via Unify Connect will be able to automatically cache just the data they need for the active parts of the files they are working with by calling for that data once. For example, when an editor loads their sequence, then plays it back one time, the sequence will play back quite choppy, then on a second playthrough will play smoothly as the data has been cached, which we see here. So now instead of downloading 10 plus hours of raw footage to enable an edit to relink and play back, editors will only need to cache the parts of the footage that they are actively working on, which could be as little as a few minutes or possibly an hour of content, saving them significant time to get up and running on a new project. Users will still be able to pre-cache data from individual files, folders, and workspaces as they did in version 1 of Unify Hub. The only restriction to block level acceleration is the media must come from a media space that lives on a GB Labs appliance. All of these features will be available in the Unify Hub Bronze package. To further assist our users, another new feature we are releasing are satellite Unify Hub servers to support editing teams working in remote offices away from the central storage. In this situation, a second GB Lab server of nearly any model can be installed in a remote or regional office to serve as a Unify Hub cache from the primary server, accelerating footage to editors working on-prem in that office. So now with block level acceleration, when one editor in the UK plays through an edit for the first time, those blocks of data are cached in the satellite server local to that user, allowing them to be played back in real time for that user and other on-prem users in that regional office. Users working remotely or those editors not in a regional or global office on a local network containing a Unify Hub server would still VPN to the primary server and may encounter some slower performance than if they were directly connected over a network to the Unify Hub server. This configuration can be scaled out through Unify Hub to support multiple regions all pulling the same material from the same home server. The last piece of new technology we will be covering in this video is Nebula, GB Lab's new vision for cloud storage. Built in partnership with Storage, Nebula redefines the concept of cloud storage by breaking out of the data center using, in simplified terms, a proprietary combination of torrent and blockchain technology to slice, encrypt, and redundantly distribute your media across 20,000 plus servers around the world. This process has multiple advantages. First, it accelerates download speed significantly by geolocating your data around the world. In tests, these speed improvements grow the farther the downloader is from the data center. Second, Nebula is elastic storage. Upload and store as much as you like, then pay for only the storage you use monthly. Downloads of 100% of the storage you are using every month are free, then a nominal metered rate thereafter. Third, with data encrypted in flight and at rest in Nebula, connecting is easy from the Unify Connect app and does not require a VPN for safe and secure caching. Nebula is available in the Unify Hub Gold package. Unify Hub is available now. Reach out to GB Labs or your favorite reseller today to learn more. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks very much, Matt. So hopefully we have a better idea of what's entailed with the bronze, silver and gold packages as well. As we can see, the product is really easy to use, and it's really just about matching your client's workflow to the right package. Packages can be tailored as well. We have additional user licenses available from $195 each, and we can add additional satellite offices to certain packages as well for only $1,000 on the subscription pricing. There's additional materials. There's a table that will break down further information on the packages, and that's available at request after the webinar as well. So if you do have further questions, please do put them in the chat box or contact us after the event. We're more than happy to discuss any client scenarios and which would be the applicable product and package for them. So for the pricing of Unify Hub, it will be sold on an annual subscription basis, much like the previous Unify Hub Gen 1. And the pricing is extremely competitive. The bronze package that we just looked at will be priced at only $2,995 for the year. The silver, $4,995, and the gold, $6,995. These prices do include a copy of V5, and that is for the version 5, that is a perpetual license. So for example, if you subscribe to just the bronze for the first year and afterwards you decided that you wouldn't continue with the Unify Hub, you would still get to keep the version 5. So all of those fantastic cloud functionality would still be there within the V5.